Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Circle of the World podcast, where we discuss Joe Abercrombie's First Law series. I am one of your hosts, Lord Chamberlain Jeffrey, and here are my co-hosts,
Dr. George,
and Harrison, the Adeptus Historical.
And we continue our coverage of Red Country, Joe's third standalone, and the next First Law entry. And this week, we read through Blood Coming, The Sleeping Partner, and Fun. So let's get started. As usual, you know, we have to thank you, the people, the fans, our friends, for your support. Your continued support, your continued devotion. It means oh so much to us. And you just know deep down inside that we love you. Also, I am dealing with a hangover. So, fantastic, isn't it?
Jeffrey, doesn't mask it like the rest of your feelings.
I cannot. Boy, say something about the fans, God's sake.
Listen, they don't need it. They don't need our approval. They're independent, confident people. They don't need our support.
Well, no, we have their support, so we should give them our appreciation of their support.
No.
George, say something. You're British. You're supposed to be polite.
I don't know who told you that. You've been watching too much Downton Abbey, mate.
I have been.
The nicest British person I know is George, and he's still an ass.
He is still an ass. He's still an ass. But we want to just thank you for your continued support, and please make sure to follow us on our social media platforms if you haven't already, and subscribe to our YouTube channel if you haven't already, because we just like to see a healthy following.
Yeah, in fact, you guys don't need the appreciation for your support. We need appreciation for your support. With your support. Oh.
We need you to appreciate us along with supporting us. That's what we need. All right.
Getting a bit desperate now, lads.
We take charity.
Oh, folks, expect to see a bit more content, I guess we'll say, on the YouTube.
Don't promise things, Jeffrey.
No. We went through this already. We had our own like fucking brainstorming.
I know. That's what makes me worried.
I'm making promises, meow. So expect to see more content on the YouTube page and some videos on the social media pages as well. You know what they are, or you might know what they are. Let's just get right into the chapter read through because again, your boy is dealing with the hangover. So. We start off with Blood Coming. Bump, 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 bump. So, start off this chapter from the perspective of our boy Temple. And Temple, he's about to sneak away with good old Burmy, right? It's just before dawn. The mud is covered with frost. And Burmy and Temple are, they're gathering up their supplies, the pack horses and everything. And Burmy asks Temple if he's ready, and Temple looks around at the house. When we say the house, we mean the building that they built, the Mahood and Kernsbick's metalworks of forging thingies for your miners.
Forging
for the miners, not your miners.
What the fuck?
It wasn't weird until he said it.
Anyway, so they're back in to go get some miners and everything.
Sorry. And but Temple is resigned, even though as proud as he is, right, of the work he's done, and even like what Mahood told him earlier that morning, the previous day, what a fine job he was doing. Temple's a man that abandoned everything half done. That was a long established fact. And
He wants to change his ways. He's trying to do better.
He wants to, but he's not really. He's about to, he's about to abscond with Burmy to the hills to look for gold. Because apparently that's what everyone's doing. And somehow Burmy and those guys are gonna they know the trick. Anyway, and then they mentioned how like there's only a couple weeks until the big fight. But better get on or else, because the rest of the lads will be well ahead by now. And Temple kind of just is thinking about it, right? He readies the horse, he puts the shovel in there and everything, and he thought about how do I say this? He thought about Shy, and he thought about Shy still out there somewhere, doggedly searching, right? And that you can only admire someone who's stuck at a thing like that, no matter the cost, no matter the odds. Especially if you were a man who could never stick at anything, not even when he wanted to. And it was at that when Temple started thinking about it. He goes, "Mm-mm," and then he walks over to Burmy, pats his hand on his shoulder and says, "I actually won't be going. My endless thanks for the offer, but I've got a building to finish. That and a debt to pay." And Burmy says, "When do you pay your debts?"
What kind of man are you now?
And Temple goes, "Since now, I suppose." And Burmy asks if he could change his mind. He goes, "Nope." And Burmy says, "Your mind always shifted with the breeze. Looks like a man can grow, and considered this shovel a gift." And Burmy, he kind of narrows his eyes and he goes, "There's a woman involved, isn't there?" Temple goes, "Yes, there is, but not in the way you're thinking." "Sure, Temple, sure." And, so Burmy is, "All right, well, I reckon you'll regret it when we come back with nuggets as big as turds." And I feel like this is the second or third time he said something like that. It's like,
About
all right,
turds?
turds and nuggets. It's like, boy, you have a fetish? Anyway, so, Burmy leaves, and Temple, he just looks at the building, and then he sees that some drunken miner is stumbling over to him. Turns out it's not a drunken miner; it's a drunken Yosef Listek.
Famed soldier of... Oh, sorry, no, wrong one, my bad.
Wrong one. He's like, "What happened to you?" And Yosef is like, "Disgrace! The crowd, wretched. My performance, abject. The cultural extravaganza, a debacle. I was pelted from the stage. I, Yosef Listek, he who ruled the theaters of Midland as if they were a private fief, pelted with dung, replaced by a trio of girls with bared bubs to rapturous applause, I might add. Is that all audiences care for these days? Bubs?"
Yes. That's correct.
I like how Temple's like, "I suppose they've always been popular."
Oh, Joseph Lestek he just steals every scene that he's in. If this was a film, he's just such a funny character.
Yes.
And I like how Lestek is like, he goes, "All finished," and someone goes, "Shut the fuck up." Because remember, this is like 4 a.m. This is right before dawn. So they are tight. But you know what?
You feel like I bet he gets up like this every morning, like this early.
Maybe, but
I gotta
now
practice.
but now he is broke. He says it. He goes, Temple goes, "Oh, there's other hostelries and everything, but basically that Yosef, he's penniless. He sold his wagon, he sold his props, he pawned his own costumes. He has nothing but the rags he wears." Temple, he looks up towards the sky, and he's thinking about God. And he goes, "All right, well, I have a tent big enough for two if you could stand my snoring." And Yosef goes, "I don't deserve such kindness." Temple responds by saying, "Neither did I." Because remember, Shai gave him a kindness by taking him out of the river and paying his way for the fellowship. And Yosef is so happy and so thankful for this that he throws up all over Temple. And then
That's so sad.
and then we shift over perspectives to Shai, who from the room of where she's staying at, and I'm not exactly sure where, but her and Lamb they're staying in an inn. Let's just say. She's looking out the window and watching this, and she was so sure that Temple was about to get on that horse and ride out of town, trampling her childish trust under hoof. And no doubt the last she'd ever hear of him. But all he did was give a man a shovel, wave him off, and then haul some shit-covered old trunk into the shell of Mahood's building. And I like how, people are a mystery. There's no solving, all right? Anyway, so she's awake a lot of the nights now, just kind of watching the street, maybe thinking that she'd see Gregor Cantless come in. Obviously hard for her to sleep when she's looking for her brother and sister, right? But she's just, thinking about her worries, thinking about her brother and sister, thinking about Lamb, about the fight that's coming. And then she starts thinking about her past in the sense of, I guess, her little wild outlaw past, where there's a person named Jeg saying smoke, smoke, and Dodd, and some girl that they hanged in her place whose name Shy had never known. And I guess Shy is just thinking about, why that girl not Shy, right? Do you guys want to talk about this for a second?
This is like the first time we actually hear about individually, like what she was doing, what was going on with her. Mm-hmm. And we mentioned it before, but like you compare it to everybody else's, it's like not that bad. And not that it's a competition in that way, but like props to her for being like, this was fucked up and I was a bad person. Everybody else was like making excuses, and she's just like, God, it haunts me that one time that I did that bad thing in that time in my life.
Well, I don't think it's just one thing. I mean, we find
out.
Well,
I know, but she was, she was a thief and things like that. Yeah. But still, you know what I mean? Like, it's not exactly the same as Lambs.
Sure. Right. Lamb's just a series of unfortunate events, but yeah.
No, Lambs is not a series of unfortunate events. Lambs.
It is for everybody else. It is. So, and Shy notes that out here, death was the one sure thing, the one fact, right? And she thinks about Leaf and Buckhorn's sons and those ghosts that they killed out there on the plain. Men that fight increase, and people that get sick off of fever and things like that. That, especially in this, in the West, in the New Frontier. And in all this, Shy looks over at Lamb, who's snoring, and she goes, "Are you awake?" He goes, "Now I am." That was one of those moments. And then the reason she said you're awake is because a group of men had rode into town just before dawn, and they pulled up to the mayor's Church of Dice. Anyway, she goes, "Oh, more thugs arrived for the mayor." And Lamb goes, he's not even like, I don't think he even turns around. He goes, lots of thugs about. Don't take no reader of the runes to see blood coming. Mm-hmm. And so Shy's starting to speak to herself, or like just to the room. But, she says out loud, what happens if Cantless doesn't come? How do we find Pit Row then? And Lamb, he gets up and he tells her, we'll just keep looking. And she brings the words out to fruition that she kind of been holding it in. She goes, "What if they're dead?" And Lamb says, "We'll keep looking until we're sure." And then she starts kind of like,
she kind of like, now that she's crossed that line of being like, what if they're dead? It just like all tumbles out.
Yeah, she goes, "What if they died out there in the plains and we'll never know for sure? Every month that passes, there's more chance we'll never know, ain't there? More chance they'll just be lost, no finding them. They could be anywhere by now, couldn't they? Alive or dead. How do we find 2 children and all the unmapped empty they got out here? When do we stop is what I'm asking. When can we stop?" And so he goes over to her. He squats and, is face to face with her. And he goes, "You can stop whenever you want. You've come this far, and that's a long, hard way. And more than likely, there's a long, hard way ahead yet. I made a promise to your mother, and I'll keep on, long as it takes. Ain't like I got better offers knocking my door down, but you're young still. You got a life to lead. If you stopped, no one could blame you. And she said she could blame herself. And she starts like, the beginning of a tear, she wipes it off the back of her hand. And she goes, it ain't like I got much of a life either. And Lamb goes, you take after me there, daughter or not. It's just so sweet. She's just tired. And he goes, look, well, she just wants him back. And, Lamb says that we'll get him back. And he tells her to get some sleep now. And he tucks her into bed, which is so nice and sweet.
I do wonder too, like, do you think this part's really sweet? How he's like comforting her, and it's very sweet. But I do wonder too, like, why do you think he tells her that she can give up? Like, he knows she won't. Do you think he's just being nice, or
he's being supportive? He's being, okay. I know you have certain thoughts about Lamb, aka
listen, I love him. All right,
I know you do. But you also have certain thoughts, you hater. Listen, this is a moment. This is a moment where he's saying it, but he also means it too. Because what's he got? Anything? He's not gonna do anything better. He made a promise, and he's all about. Listen, I made a promise. I've broken a lot of it. This one, I'm sticking through it. He's gonna do it.
Mm-hmm.
He's telling her that I guess he's trying to relieve the pressure she's putting on herself, and he knows that she's not going to stop looking for him. He knows,
right?
But he just wants to, reassure her that, listen, it's okay. It's okay. This is a crazy thing that we're doing. We're tracking 2 kids in the middle of fucking nowhere. If you were to give up, that'd be a very rational thing to do.
I guess so. I feel like, I don't know.
You're just a Lamb hater. You're just a Lamb hater.
No,
and then it kind of,
like
what comes up later, it kind of sours this a little bit, doesn't it?
That's what I'm saying.
What are you talking about?
Like,
well, we can't talk about it now, but if you're saying that at this point, I could believe you. Yeah.
Yeah, believe me now. Later on, we'll talk about it.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later.
I just think that maybe
he
is like, he's like, I got a promise to keep. I'm gonna do it, and he's telling her that, like, I don't know, like, it's fine if you don't want to do it. Yes, he's being comforting, but like, would he have felt the same way at her age? Like, is that the things he told himself?
No, but here's the thing. I bet you at the same
age, he did give up looking for the boys after, like, in Blade itself. It's like,
man,
what?
he didn't even look for the
not
boys.
at the fire. We're not at the fire, so I guess they're dead.
Exactly.
I know. That's what I'm saying.
No, but I'm saying
at his just understand permanence.
Listen and think about it. In the Blade itself, he was like already like 35. Shy's what, in her 20s here? No, but I bet you Lamb probably did feel these kind of things. This like despondent, not nihilism, but what's the point kind of thing.
Yeah.
So he can empathize with her, and that's where this is coming from. I know you think Lamb isn't capable of empathy. He is.
I didn't say that.
He is. He just will kill you before and after. Anyway, and then Shy, as she's about to go to sleep, she goes, "Are you really about to fight that man Golden? He seemed all right to me." And Lamb, he was quiet for a long time, enough that she started to think that maybe he fell asleep. Then he goes, "I've killed better men for worse reasons, I'm sorry to say." And that's the end of that chapter.
I think
we could say Lamb has killed better men for absolutely no reasons. Yes, absolutely. Yes.
I think it's funny. Not funny. I think it's crazy how, like, with how Lamb is and in this book, how he's like, first of all, I think it's cute how she's like, he comforts her and he's like, she says, "Hey, Dad, are you really gonna kill that man?" That's always how I view it. Like it's like this interaction, like, it's she's very vulnerable in this interaction here, and it just makes me view her as like a little girl in this moment. Yeah. I think it's really sweet.
How would you rate it?
But I think I would rate it. I really like how Temple, he beats the temptation, right? I think he beats the temptation. He thinks about it. What's the right thing to do? And meanwhile, Logan's like, the right thing to do is to kill this guy. And I think I'm gonna give it a 7 out of 9. because it's not a lot happens, but there's a lot of emotional beats in here, and I think it's done really, really well. And like you said, Jeff, like a lot of his books don't have these kinds of moments, or the few and far between. So, yeah, I think it's 7 out of 9 for me.
George,
I'm going to give it the same. Like you said, it's a very hopeful chapter. You know, like you said, not a lot of emotional upbeat in Joe's books whatsoever, and it's nice to just have a few, like a little pause, a little breath before things kick off again.
Yeah. I mean, I'm gonna give it a 7 out of 9. Let's give it a trifecta, right? Why not? Hungover Jeffrey's gonna, be a little bit more loosey goosey with the scores, but but I don't
But
know
Jeffrey, it's short.
I know, I know, but really, I don't know if you would truly classify this chapter as hopeful, but it is emotional, right? It's introspective. Maybe on Temple's part, it's hopeful. It is.
Yeah,
It is,
Temple's part especially.
Temple's part is very hopeful because he's going about it as, you know what? Nah, I'm gonna be better. I'm gonna do better. I'm not just gonna, leave people.
Yeah.
He's not gonna leave Shy, and Shy's witnessing this, much to his, ignorance. And then, obviously we get her kind of taxi cab confessions to Lamb about how she's feeling and the doubt she's, feeling. And yeah, I think it's great. So 7 out of 9 for me. And we'll move on to our next segment, which is our community interaction segment. Boys, I mean, right? It's just basically highlighting the House of the Meme Maker subreddits, memeing every chapter soiree.
Yeah.
If you haven't,
he's been doing a really good job at like keeping it up pace with the book. So if you haven't been a part of it, it's not like you're gonna be like, oh well, I'm not caught up. Well, you are, because you're listening to this podcast.
That's right. Listening to this podcast and participating in the memeing every chapter. And George, didn't you, my good sir, participate?
I did, but I can't say who posted it for me because I'm pretty sure that's a violation.
Oh please, no one's snitching over here.
Nah, it's all good.
We're gonna make our way back.
It's
to Reddit.
one of them. It's one of them. I'll tell you that. If you go on the House of the Meme Maker, I made one of them.
Here's a hint. It's a person you can't see.
My God. Could it be?
Okay, anyway. Oh, yeah. But yeah, folks, go on ahead and join the memeing every chapter. Fun time, party time. And participate, folks. We love to see it. Okay, so we'll move on to our next chapter read through, which is The Sleeping Partner. And now we start off again with Temple's perspective. And in general, he's forced to concede that he was a man who had failed to live up to his own high standards, or even to his low ones. But Mahood's shop, as it approached completion, was therefore a very pleasant surprise. He's proud of the fact that one of the Soljooks that accompanied the fellowship turns out to be an artist of a roofer. Lamb is more than capable with applying his 9 digits to masonry.
His 9 digits. Such a funny terminology.
Even the Buckhorns showed up in full capacity with all, the brood, all the kids and everything. Even though they lost 2 on the planes, to, help nail the plank siding. And even Lord Ingolstadt took a rare break from losing money to give advice on the paint. Bad advice, but still.
Poor guy's not good at anything.
No, he's not good at anything, seriously. And Temple takes a step back out into the street to admire the work, and he's real proud of it. And then somebody, places their hand on the shoulder, and he's fully expecting Shy to tell him that he still owes her 47 and 1 mark or whatever, 47 and a half marks. But it turns out it's a man, not tall but broad, and possessed of explosive orange sideburns, and his thick eyeglasses made his eyes appear minute, and his smile was immense by comparison. He wore a tailored suit, but his heavy hands were scarred across the backs by hard work. I had despaired of finding decent carpentry in this place. But what should I find? Just at my lowest ebb? But this invigorating example of the joiner's craft. Bold in design, diligent in execution, and in a heady fusion of styles, aptly reflecting the many-cultured character of the adventurers braving this virgin land. And all on my behalf. Sir, I am quite humbled. Temples goes, your behalf? And he goes, indeed, I am Hornrig Kernsbick, the better half of Mahood and Kernsbick. And he hugs Temple, he kisses him both on the cheek, and then he tips him. And he goes, a little something extra for your trouble. Generosity repays itself, I have always said. Temple goes, you have? I have. Not always financially, not always immediately, but in goodwill and friendship, which ultimately are beyond price. They are? I mean, you think they are? And he goes, I do. And then he goes, where is my partner Mahood? Where is that stone-hearted old money grubber?
I love that. That's such a good fucking payoff for the entire time when Mahood's just been a penny pincher.
And he blames it on Kernsbick.
And he blames it on Kernsbick every time. Oh, you know, that Kernsbick, he's
ice in his veins.
His heart is of iron.
He will let a child go hungry on the streets.
By the way, Jeffrey, your Kernsbick voice is phenomenal.
Oh, thank you.
That's exactly how like not how he sounds inside the audiobook, but I love it. It's great. He sounds so like upstanding, and where he is, but he's I love too like how many people show up to things and they're like, I am so and so, I am Papa Ring, I am the mayor, I am Kernsbick, I am Lustig, I am Nicole Mokaska. Everybody in this book does that. I just realized that.
It's so funny. It's so good. And I like how Temple tells him that he doesn't think that Mahood's expecting his arrival, and Kernsbick, he goes, nor do I. How could I stay in Adua while this and all this was happening without me? And then he goes, besides, I have a fascinating new idea I want to discuss with him. Steam is the thing now.
Oh, Steam.
Temple goes, is it? And he goes, the engineering community is in an uproar following a demonstration of Skibgard's new coal-fired piston apparatus.
I love his descriptions for things too. Like, he's obviously very well educated and all of that, and he is an inventor and stuff, and it's prepping us for Age of Madness. But I love how it's like we're in like this age of like
discovery.
Like it's like this industrial revolution kind of stage. We're like, look at this new invention, my god.
Yeah, I know the nascent stages of industrial revolution. You're very right, very correct. I like how Kernsbick is looking at the shop again, and he's looking at the front door, and he sees somebody, kind of shuffle out with a blanket over him, and he goes, "Not, can it be the famous Joseph Lestek?" And Joseph, he's in a blanket, he's hung over, and he's like, yes. And then Kernsbick goes, "My dear sir, an honor to make your acquaintance, a perfect honor. I was transported by your buyers on one occasion back in Adua. Veritably transported."
I love though, like, this is so like cathartic. This is like, honestly, like, I know we're gonna have this little party here in a bit, but like, this is one of the most like uplifting moments. He shows up, everyone's like, who is this guy? Oh no. And then he's like super nice. He recognizes everybody's talents. He's giving away money. He's like Kernsbick is one of the nicest people in the entire series. It's so funny. Joseph Lestic has been completely like, he's like, my talent's been wasted. He finally sees somebody, and he's like, somebody who finally recognizes my talents. Finally,
and this is exactly what Lestek needed. This is exactly what he needed, and he got it. And Kernsbick didn't know, right? He didn't know how low he's been, but he just gives him the praise that he's looking for. And I like how as he's rushing to shake Lestek's hand and everything and bundle him inside, that Kernsbick on his way is like tipping some kid that was
Like a coin to everyone he sees. Like, yeah, right. There you take one. You take.
You get a coin. You get a coin. He's like Mansa Musa. He's like destroying, devaluing gold inside of Korea.
Yeah. Sorry, it was one of Buckhorn's sons, but yeah. And then, as you know, Temple is like just pondering what just happened. Another hand on the shoulder, and now he knows it's Shy. So he turns around. He goes, "You'll get your money, you blood sucking." Turns out it's not Shy. Turns out it's a giant man, and he goes, "The mayor."
Sorry, there are so many of these
voices are on
moments.
point today.
They are on point today, but there are so many of these moments. Like Temple always does these things. I don't know why Joe can get away with it with Temple. He's always like, "Is he right behind me? Isn't he?" Or like, he's like.
No, you're so right. This always happens to Temple, where he assumes it's gonna be one person. Turns out it's not.
Yeah, it's like a little gag that Joe has. Like he's like he gets caught up in it. He just doesn't pay attention. He's not observant at all. It's so.
We love
dumb.
Temple because in some ways he's a bumbling buffoon, and this is exactly what happens to bumbling buffoons. And Temple goes, did she say why? And didn't say. Didn't ask. Okay. And I like how he goes, and if I would rather remain here, and the guy had to like scrunched up his face in thought, and he goes, wasn't an option. He goes, okay. He goes, look, there's no point making her look for me. I'll just go. So he's in the mayor's office now. All right, a bit of a, not a break, but a break. He's in the mayor's office. She's watching him across from her desk while there's a old man by a window. Anyway, he goes, I'm very honored by the kind invitation, your mayorness. But why are we here? And the old man by the window, he goes, Juvens and his brother Badesh debated that very question for 7 years. And the longer they argued, the further away was the answer. I am Zacharias.
He says that, and this is the first time we've heard about Badesh since even mentioned. Basically, like we know Badesh helped lock away the seed on the island of Shibuya, but this is like the first time they've ever mentioned anything else about him. And it's like some little mythic fairy tale, but it probably actually did happen, which is hilarious. It sounds like one of those, like Olympus gods, like they discussed this for 40 days and 40 nights, like kind of thing. But he actually did talk about it for 7 days.
Yeah. And I like how Temple goes, like the Magus? Exactly like. And he looks at Temple's hand, and he could tell by a callus on his middle finger, which I mean, George, if you could explain this. But he goes, a man of letters.
Yeah, because if he's writing for like 8 hours a day, you get the callus on your finger.
Right, like at the tip, right here?
Yeah. Oh, wherever you grip it.
Well, I think we all can write, so I don't know.
Yeah, but like if you're a scribe back then, you'd be literally writing for 8 hours a day non-stop.
I see what you're saying.
Or longer.
And Temple tells him that he's had several professions, and that he was trained in history, theology, and law in the great temple of Dagaska by Hadish Kadia. And the mayor looks up sharply at that name, and he asks her if you knew him, and she goes, a lifetime ago, a man I greatly admired. He always preached and practiced the same. He did what he thought right, no matter how difficult. And Temple goes, my mirror image. Sarcastic.
And this is the moment I think when most people will go, yeah, this is Carlotte Van Eyck.
Yeah, it's definitely Carlotte, yeah. Because she loved him. I don't want to say love, but she really respected him.
Really respected him, yeah.
Really respected him. And she goes, different tasks need different talents. And she asks him, do you have experience with treaties? Temple tells her that, yep, he has. He negotiated a peace agreement and trimmed a border or two when he was in Styria. And he goes, okay, cool. So the mayor goes, I want you to prepare a treaty for me, one that brings Greece and a slab of the far country around it into the empire and under its protection. And Temple, he immediately goes, oh, the old empire, but the great majority of the settlers come from the Union. Would that not be the natural? And she goes, absolutely not the Union. He goes, all right. Not wanting to talk myself into trouble, even though I do that rather easily. But the only laws that people seem to respect out here are the ones with the point on the end. And the mayor, she goes, now maybe, but the gold will run out and prospectors will drift off. The fur will run out and the trappers will drift off. And then the gamblers, the thugs, the whores. And what will remain? The likes of people like Buckhorn, who's building a house and raising cattle. Or Mahood, whose very fine shop and forge you have been chafing your hands on these past few weeks. People who grow things, sell things, make things. These people like laws.
Yes, I think that's so cool that like that's something that she's considering, and that's how these settlements work. Like yes, people come for one reason, or they stay, or whatever, or like a lot of towns in the in America where they came out to get land, or because of gold rushes or for oil, and now it's just irrelevant. Or I mean, it's still relevant, but you know what I mean. Like most families are not there for that same reason at this point. So it's interesting.
Correct. Yeah, absolutely correct. It's similar to what we talked about. I believe it was in the last episode where we talked about the people that really strike you rich in these kinds of, the gold rushes and whatnot, are the people that come to provide supplies. Remember how we talked about the Levi's jeans was started in the gold rush in the 1800s in California, right? And similar here. And so you have your initial, let's call them, what's the word? Not for explorers. Jesus Christ. Pioneers, thank you. These pioneers that they hate laws, right? And they're here to strike it on their own. They come to get away from civilization. But by their discoveries, right, or the advancements of their makings, what have you, they will bring people seeking to profit off of this. And by that token, it extends civilization further out. And these are the people that want laws. So, funny enough, the pioneers that seek to escape laws are the ones that bring it with them. Bum, bum, bum! The harbinger of your own doom.
That's how America was founded.
That's basically it. It's definitely how it was founded, and not with smallpox and blankets. So,
but we're different from everybody else. We definitely aren't going to fall the same prey to any other empire. I mean, democratic society's failings.
Absolutely not, baby. We outspend everybody in military budget. Anyway, so that came out of nowhere. Sorry, I was reading an article like 20. Anyway, so she offers Temple a drink. He goes, "Oh, I shouldn't because we've had some long and painful conversations and we just can't agree." And the mayor goes, "We can't agree either, me and Drink." And she takes a shot. She goes, "But we keep on having the argument," which I'm like, damn, that's a good ass line, girl.
It's a great fucking line.
I love it. That should be on a shirt, Joe. Anyway,
and I mean that's not a copyrighted phrase, so I mean you could put it on a shirt.
And I like how Zacharias, he's rummaging through his robe, and he goes, "I have a rough draft somewhere. The principal points are covered, as you can see. The ideal is the status of a semi-independent enclave under the protection of and paying nominal taxes to the imperial government. There is precedent. Mm-hmm. The city of Calcis enjoys similar status. And then there what's it called? Thingy, And he slaps the side of his head. Do you have any idea, Harrison, what the fuck he's talking about here? I have no idea.
They're like, he's saying that like Calcis is like a free city. It has its own status. Yeah. So
right, but it seemed like he was going to name another city. He goes, then there is.
So I think the point is that like that one point, like his stuff's all fuzzy, right? Because he's a little crazy. That at some point there was another city like that, and then he remembered that maybe it doesn't exist anymore. But then he thought maybe it did exist, and then he kind of just trailed off. I think that's kind of what Joe's trying to imply here. Is that he doesn't, you know what I mean? Right, the only other thing I could think of is maybe the city of Darmium, which was just sacked at one point, right? Inside of the original trilogy.
Right.
But that was the Imperial Heartland, so maybe he was thinking the same thing though too.
Maybe.
He's like, that's the capital. Wait, is that the city-state? Anyways.
Maybe. Yeah. Well, I mean, Temple notes that he goes, "Oh, you have some experience with the law as well." And Zacharias goes, imperial law a long time ago. And he tells Temple that this treaty must be binding under Union law as well as mining traditions. So they're trying to cover all the bases here. This is intelligent. And then he goes, all right, he'll do the best he can. But he says that it will mean nothing unless it is signed by a representative of the local population and, well, by the emperor,
or one of his
or
envoys.
at least a representative. And Zacharias goes, well, an imperial legate speaks for the emperor. And Temple goes, you have
legate.
Legate. And he goes, the legions of Legate Sarmus are said to be within 4 weeks' march. I like how Temple goes, I understand Sarmus is not a man anyone would choose to invite. And the mayor goes, choice doesn't, matter here. Papa Ring apparently is keen for Kreese to be brought into the union, and she understands that his negotiations are well advanced in that direction. And she cannot allow that to happen. She cannot allow the union to take Kreese into their bosom. So there was Temple understands that, and he goes, all right. And the mayor asks him how long will it take for him to prepare the document, and he goes, a few days. He has Mahood's shop to finish. So she says, oh, make this a priority. She'll pay him 200 marks. And he's like,
oh shit,
200. And she asks him, is that sufficient? He goes, most definite. He goes, yeah, of course. It will be adequate, but he must complete the building first. And he surprised himself with that. And Zacharias, he nods approvingly. He goes, you are a man who likes to see things through. Temple's he smiles at this. He goes, the absolute opposite, but I've always liked the idea of being one. And that's the end of that chapter. Boys, how do you rate it?
I like this one. I like the fact that it's that, like you said, there's a lot of political thought that goes into it and more looking ahead. And I like the fact that it's again, these few chapters are really nice because they just give you something else. Yeah. There's a lot of violence in Joe's books, but there's not really a lot of politicking apart from buyers.
Yeah, that's very true.
No, very true.
I reckon I'm going to give this one a 6.
A 6?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Harrison?
Yeah, I think I'm going to give this one a 5. I like Zacharias popping up here, and, I like how there's comments back to Haddish Kadia. And I love that Temple's like, he's doing it. He's being a good person. He's Giselling right now. It's incredible. That's what we're gonna call people who follow through being a good person in this book, in this series. But he's Giselling right now.
Yeah, I like it.
He's Giselling everywhere. Never mind.
That took a turn. I'm gonna give it a 6 and a knuckle. I really like it because in the first part, it's again that emotional, the emotional subject matter that again not really prevalent in a lot of Joe's books. And when I say emotional subject matter, I mean just not that feel good feeling.
Yeah,
and that's what we don't really get a lot from Joe's books because a lot of it is incompetence or hatred or self-doubt. And here it's just feels so nice. And we see Kernsbick. the arrival of Kernsbick is crazy. It's awesome. The way Mahood was talking him up, we had to have known it wouldn't be the way it was gonna be, actually turn out. But so we get that part, right? We get that part in this chapter, and then we pivot. And then we learn about the political machinations. And like you said, George, we don't really get that a lot in Joe's books. And it's nice to see it in play here with the participating parties, except for, Papa Ring. But we don't need to worry about Papa Ring. I'll give it a 6 and a knuckle. We'll move on to our next segment, which is our best meme of the week. Georgie boy, that's you. Take it away.
Yeah, so this week we've got Lick Shots 419 again.
Hey, welcome back, Lick Shots.
Well, and this is the classic Boromir meme. This has got to be like 20 years old at this point, right?
It's more than 20 years old now. Yeah.
Oh my god. Oh, that makes me feel so old. But yeah, it's just one of the memeing every chapter. Like you said, Harrison, like Spaceman has done 3 chapters a week. We do 3 chapters a week, roughly. So everything keeps up nicely.
Yes.
So this is from That Simple, which is from the last episode. And it's when Papa Ring it comes in and they confront Logan, and Logan just, you know how Logan is.
Yeah.
Go on.
Go ahead. You finish.
Yeah, so this is just the Boromir meme, and it's one does not simply kill my friend, burn my farm, and steal 2 children that I swore to protect.
We love it, don't we? We love it.
Yeah, a classic, an absolute classic meme.
Mm-hmm. It is. Well, thank you for that, George. It was a great meme. Who posted that?
That was Lickshots 419.
Lick Shots. Our boy. He's a common. He's a recurring winner. Well, we appreciate you, Lick Shots.
Yeah, he's almost your my man tier, you know.
Almost. Just about. But we'll move on to our next and final chapter read through, which is fun. And this, folks, this is a great one. Basically, we're in the perspective of Shy, and they're in, I believe they're in Mahood's and Kern's big shop, right? That they built, right? Am I correct?
Yeah.
Okay. And everybody's here. When I say everybody, I mean the whole fellowship is reunited, except for the people that died, but everyone else is here, laughing, backslapping, talking about how well things are going now, or lying, according to Shy. Shy has been drinking. And so Shy, like I said, Shy is having some difficulty in terms of like having fun, but she's getting there. She notes that Dab Sweet is complaining about the faithlessness of the prospectors he guided into the mountains and who stiffed him on payments before he could stiff them.
You get what you deserve.
I knew it. I told Harrison, I was like, I'm going to wait before I mention Dab Sweet. I'm going to wait for George to get back. Fucking knew it.
Fuck you, Dab Sweet.
Get over it. People stiffed him. He needed to make sure he had a retirement plan. Crying Rock is nodding along at all the wrong moments. Yosef is trying to impress one of the whores with tales of his heyday, but then she started asking, like, was that before the amphitheater got built? Which is years ago. Savian swapping grunts with Lamb in a corner, tight as if they've known each other since boys, which is my favorite thing to see. One of them. Hedges is lurking in a different corner, nursing a bottle. Buckhorn and his wife still had a fair old brood running around, despite the ones that they lost out there in the plains. And Shy is just kind of like looking over the scene. And then out of nowhere, a voice comes in and goes, I used to ride drag behind an outfit like this. And Chai looks and she's got, big shock because Temple, with all the money I guess he got from the mayor, went to a barber, got a new suit, new clothes. My boy is looking sharp. And everybody's like, Temple, hey! And this is just honestly a fun scene.
It is. It's awesome.
I like how Kernsbicker goes, oh, who'd have thought you could fish such a carpenter from a river? And Mahoo's like, a lucky find indeed. Like he's the one that found him.
But he was still about him joining, yes.
Yeah, he was all up for just leaving Temple at the river. Fuck you. There's a ton of really not very nice people here.
No, but everyone's here. They're just having a great time. And at some point, Temple makes his way to Shy. And Shy goes, well, if it isn't everyone's favorite chunk of driftwood, the great architect himself.
Savage.
They share a drink. And it's a strong drink, apparently. Temple's like, what the hell's it made out of? And Shy goes, I decided it's one of those questions you're happier without an answer. And She even like knows like how much that finery of yours costs. And he goes, I haggled hard. You would have been proud. She goes, pride ain't common with me, and still must have cost a fair sum for a man with debts. And he goes, debts, you say? And here she was like, well, this is my ground. I know. She goes, last we spoke, it was 43 marks. And he gives her a purse with the cash, with the coin.
Dang, he paid her off.
Like,
And she was like, what the hell? And she grabs it and looks into it. She goes, wow, it's mostly silver, but there could have been easily 60 marks inside for sure. And she goes, how did you get this? You turned to thievery? He goes, nope, the law, which is even worse.
I love that she's like just assumes that he's a thief. That's the only way. That's like the first thing she goes to.
And he says that he put 10 extra for the favor because, she did save his life. And she knows she should be smiling, but somehow she's not. And she goes, you sure your life's worth that much? He goes, did you think I'd never pay? She says that she thought he'd grab his first chance to wriggle out of it and run off into the night. Or maybe die first. Temple goes, that's what I always thought. Looks like I surprised us both. Pleasantly, though, I hope. And she's not going to count it because she trusts him. And it's not something she just says. Apparently, she actually is true. She realized it. She goes, oh, shit, I trust him. Well, and she goes, if it isn't all there, at the very least, I can always track you down and kill you. And I like how Temple goes, it's nice to know that's an option.
Banter. I do like how soon now that that tension is gone from them needing money. We have a set. As soon as that's gone, it's suddenly now they can be themselves. They don't. It's not
There's still tension though.
It's not a debt collector.
It's a different kind of tension. They're standing side by side in silence, and they're glancing at each other, but like looking away, kind of thing.
They're like, oh my goodness, he's looking at me. Oh my goodness.
I love this. And then she goes, you did a fine job on the building. It's like, yeah, fine jobs and paid debts. I could think of a few people who wouldn't recognize me. And she goes, I'm not sure I recognize you. And he goes, is that good or bad? And she goes, I don't know. And the room's getting hot. And now they're like, and now she's like, what do we talk about now that you don't owe me money? He goes, the same things as everyone else, I guess. What do they talk about? Ooh, he goes, the high quality of my craftsmanship appears to be a popular topic. She goes, yeah. And he goes, all right, fine. You got a big ass head. And he goes, all right, well, what about the fight that's coming? She goes, I've heard enough about that. He goes, there's always the weather.
Classic.
And he goes,
I love talking about the weather.
And so then Kernsberg comes out of nowhere. He goes, will you say a few words before the fun starts? And I mean, the fun's already starting, but Chai at this point is starting to realize, oh, she's a bit more than drunk. And words about what? But basically he's talking about, he was talking to Temple. And so we shift over to Temple's perspective. And Temple goes, and I like this. Temple goes, my old teacher used to say, you know a man by his friends. Guess I can't be quite the shit that I thought I was. Not long ago, I barely knew one person I could have called decent. Now I could fill a room I built with them. I used to wonder why anyone would come out to this godforsaken arse of the world who didn't have to. Now I know. They come to be part of something new, to live in new country, to be new people. I nearly died out on the plains, and I can't say I would have been widely mourned. But a fellowship took me in and gave me another chance I hardly deserved. Not many of them were keen to begin with, I'll admit, but one was, and that was enough. My old teacher used to say, you know the righteous by what they give to those who can't give back. I doubt anyone who's had the misfortune to bargain with her would agree, but I will always count Shy South among the righteous.
Damn, he's good at speeches, isn't he?
Yeah, he's good. He's good at this. And then he continues on. My old teacher used to say, there is no better act than the raising of a good building. It gives something to those that live in it and visit it and even pass it by every day it stands. I haven't really tried at much in life, but I've tried to make a good building of this. Hopefully it will stand a little longer than some of the others hereabouts. May God smile on it as he has smiled on me since I fell in that river, and bring shelter and prosperity to its occupants. And then Kernsbit goes, and liquor is free to all! And Mahood is like, no!
And then that's when the rave music starts playing.
Oh, man, it's a good time here, folks. It's a great time. Everyone's like pouring drinks into his hand. The music is going around, and now people are dancing and everything. And it's like the Western thing where people kind of like the partner switch, that kind of whole thing. And now it's shot.
You don't get a lot of this. I think this might be the actual only scene where someone's at a party and not uncomfortable, where they're actually enjoying themselves.
Right, you're right.
They are rare, very rare.
Remember the night of Giselle's wedding, he was pretty like excited to be dancing.
That's fair.
He was excited to be dancing with Princess Therese. It was after the party where he got a rude awakening. But, yeah.
Very true.
But everyone's having a great time, switching partners, dancing, and now it's Temple and Shy out of nowhere. They're dancing, and he tells her, "Oh, I never thought you'd be a dancer." And he says, "Too hard for it." And she goes, "Never thought you'd be one, too soft." And her breath is hot against his cheek. Folks, things are building here. And then he goes, "No doubt."
Getting excited.
Oh yeah. And he goes, "No doubt you're right. My wife taught me." And he could feel her stiffening. And she goes, "You have a wife?" And he goes, "I did. And a daughter. They died long time ago now. Sometimes it doesn't feel so long." She takes a drink after hearing that, looks at him sideways, and there's something in that glance that gives him a breathless tingle. He leaned to speak to her, and she caught him around the head and kissed him quite fiercely. If he had time, he would have reasoned she wasn't the type for gentle kisses, but he didn't get time to reason, or kiss back, or push her off, or even work out which would be his preference before she twisted his head away and she started dancing with Mahood, leaving him to be manhandled about the floor by Corlin, who, by the way, goes, "If you think you're getting one from me, you got another thing coming."
That's intense.
Yeah.
She's taking control.
And then he stops dancing. He leans against the wall. His head is spinning. He's like, what the fuck? And he's looking at his glass that somehow is full of liquor again. And somebody pats him on the shoulders and goes, "You all right?" And he just says, "She kissed me." And he goes, "Who, Shy?" And he nods. And then he looks and he realizes it's Lamb he's talking to. He goes, "Oh fuck." but Lamb just goes, "Well, that's about the least surprising thing I heard." Everyone in the fellowship saw it coming. The snapping, arguing, niggling over the debt. Classic case. And I like how Temple goes, "Why didn't no one say anything?" Lamb goes, "Several talked of nothing else."
It's like he's disgusted by it. He's like so tired of people talking about it. It's great.
But Temple goes, "Well, why didn't no one say anything to me?" And then Lan goes, "Well, in my case, it's because I had a bet with Savian on when it would happen. We both thought it would happen a lot sooner than this, but I won." And Lan goes, "He could be a funny bastard, that Savian." And Temple goes, "He could what?" He's like, "Savian being hilarious? Get the fuck out of here." He doesn't even know what shocked him more, that or Shy kissing him. And he goes, "Sorry to be so predictable." And then Lamb talks about, folk like to prefer the obvious outcome. It takes bones to defy expectation. Lamb, picks up his hat and he's about to leave because I forgot to mention during the part where Temple is dancing with everybody, taking turns. He's looking around the crowd and everyone's, he sees that the mayor's there and he sees that the mayor's talking softly to Lamb. And so I like how Lamb goes, "Oh, don't I have a right to my own fun?" And then he puts another hand on Temple's shoulder, a friendly, fatherly hand, but also a frighteningly firm one. He says, "Be careful with her. She's not as tough as she looks." And I like how Temple goes, "But what about me? I don't even look tough." And so Lamb goes, "That's true, but if Shy hurts you, I won't break her legs." And by the time Temple figured that out, Lamb had already gone. And then out of nowhere, Shy comes back. She goes, "I thought we were dancing." And oh man. So, folks, I'm just gonna get right to it. They keep dancing, but at some point they leave the party and they go up to this is actually, I don't think this is in the building. This is in Camling's hostelry. Because the bar and the rooms. Because
Yeah.
they go up the stairs and
That's
they're
where they've been staying, I think.
right. But I'm saying I thought the party was at the shop. It's actually not. It's at the hostelry. Because that's where the
No, I think they just ran back. It's not. Can't be that far. If they can see like
but
the
liquor-
mayor's place
liquor-
and
remember, liquor is free to everybody. Remember, he's paying for drinks. They're paying for drinks.
oh shit!
Yeah. It's
But they definitely were in the beginning though. It's weird.
maybe. But they are boys, they cannot keep their hands off each other. They are making their way downtown, walking fast. And and so you're ripping each other's clothes off. They're kissing. You know, Temple asks Shy, he goes, "Isn't Lamb here?" And she goes, "Staying at the mayor's place for now." It's like, oh,
Interesting.
ooh, wow. And then I like how even Temple takes a moment and goes, "Are we doing the right thing?" And she goes, "Get the fuck out of here. Take your trousers off." How
She's
long
like,
has
we're
it been?
getting down.
It was like, how long has it been since she had some fun after all? And you know what? They deserve this, don't they? They deserve to have some fun. So a bit of a break, and then they wake up. And they are hung over. We're in Temple's perspective, and what woke him up was the sound of Shy throwing up into a chamber pot. And she's naked except for a boot and the trousers around one ankle. And everything hurts him. And he's like, "Oh my God, the pain. And then Shy goes, "Oh, I gotta get some air." And so she goes to open the window. He's like, "No, don't do it." And then she opens the window and the sunlight comes in. Ah!
It's just we've had the same experience with Jeffy before. He hates the sun early in the morning.
Hey. Who doesn't? And then and she kind of like crawls under the bed, and he goes, "What the fuck's she doing?" And she grabs a bottle that's still like has some liquor in it, and she pulls the cork with her teeth, and she's gathering her courage, and he goes, "No, you're not going to." And she drinks. She goes, "How about you?" And he goes, "Oh my God, no." And he goes, "That's the only thing that'll help." And it's true. Hair of the dog. And basically, as they're sitting there, right, he goes, "You'll find them, And he's talking about Pitt and Rowe. And she goes, "How do I know?" And Temple goes, "Because no one deserves a good turn of the card more." And she tells him that he doesn't know what she deserves. He doesn't know what she's done. And I like how Temple goes, "Can't be worse than what you did to me last night." But she didn't laugh. She says, "When I was 17, I killed a boy." And Temple goes, "Ah, well, yeah, that's worse." And she tells him, that she ran from the farm because she hated it there, hated her bitch mother, hated her bastard stepfather. And Temple goes, "Lamb?" And he goes, "No, the first one. My mother got through him. I had some fool notion I'd open a store. Things went wrong right off. Didn't mean to kill that boy, but I got scared and I cut him, and he wouldn't stop bleeding." And Temple asks her, "Oh, did he have it coming?" And she goes, "Guess he must have. He got it, didn't he? But he had a family, and they chased me, Shy, and she ran. She got hungry, started stealing. After a while, she just started, she fell in with the crowd, started just robbing folks. and more killings, and maybe some that had it coming and some that didn't, because who gets what they deserve? And Temple thinks of Kadia at this point, and he goes, "Yeah, I'll admit God can be a bit of a shit that way." And he goes, she tells him that in the end there were bills all over half the near country for her arrest. They used to call her Smoke, apparently, which kind of refers back to, if we remember in the first chapter we did, when Shai's thinking about somebody, Jed saying Smoke, Smoke. That apparently was her outlaw name or something.
Yeah.
And they caught some woman and hanged her in her place. And his Shai goes, she didn't even look like me, but she got killed, and Shai got away, and she doesn't know why. And there's a silence there for a moment, and then Temple, what he did was he goes next to her, right, and he goes, "If you want me to share your low opinion of yourself, I'm afraid I can't oblige. Sounds to me like you made some mistakes." And she goes, "You call that mistakes?" He goes, "Yeah, some pretty stupid ones, yep. But you never chose to do evil." She goes, "Who chooses evil?" "I know who chooses evil. His name rhymes with Bam."
I knew you hated him.
I love him, but I love that he chooses it. Anyway, sorry. And he goes, apparently Temple says that he chose evil at some point. And then Shai goes, "What is this, a shitty pass competition?" He goes, "Yep, and I win," because he tells her after his wife died, he spent a year as the most miserable drunk you ever saw, and he couldn't get any lower, so he signed up as a lawyer for a mercenary company and found that he could get lower. The Company of the Gracious Hand under Captain General Nakomakaska. A worse accumulation of human scum you never saw. And he goes,
Or, yeah, they never will see. Right.
Never will see. And he at the beginning he believed there were good reasons for what they did, for what we did. Then he convinced himself that there were good reasons. Then he knew there weren't even good excuses, but did it anyway because he was too coward not to. They were sent to the near country to root out rebels, and a friend of his tried to save some people, and he was killed, and those people were killed. They killed each other. But he squirmed away, as always, and he ran like the coward he is, and he fell in a river, and for reasons best known only to himself, God sent a good woman to fish his worthless carcass out. And I like how Shai goes, as a point of fact, God sent a murdering outlaw. And he goes, "Well, his ways are damned mysterious, and I can't say I took to you right away, that's true, but I'm starting to think God sent exactly what I needed." And this is where Temple actually goes over to Shai. I'm sorry. But he goes, he feels like all his life he's been running. Maybe it's time for him to stick, to try it at least. He doesn't care what she's done. He owes her only his life now, but still, let him stick. God help him, but he'll take that kiss now. And remember, she was throwing up and had spittle all over her mouth and everything. And she goes, "Are you serious?" He goes, "I may be a fool, but I'm not letting a woman who could fill a sick pot without spilling pass me by. Wipe your mouth and come here." Oh, I love it. And then they get on top of each other, and then somebody starts knocking on the door, banging on it, and she goes, "You got the wrong room, idiot! Wrong fucking room, idiot!" And then the door bursts open, and a man steps in, a tall man with close-cropped fair hair and sharp clothes, with a couple of lackeys behind him. He goes, "I think I got it right. I heard you've been looking for me." She goes, "Who the fuck are you?" And the newcomer says, "Gregor Cantless." Folks. Uh-oh. And then a few things happened all at the same time. Shai flung the bottle at the doorway and dived for the knife. Cantless dived for her, and the other two got tangled in the doorway. And Temple dived for the window. Jesus Christ.
I think it's time I stick at something. Please.
Statements about sticking notwithstanding, before he knew it, he was outside, air whooping in his throat. In a terrified squeal as he dropped, then rolling in the cold mud. So it can't have been a far fall, but Jesus Christ. So he's naked, folks. Don't forget this. He's naked. and he's running towards the mayor's church of dice. And, the guards are like, "What is this naked man doing?" And he's like, "I got to see Lamb. Lamb!" And I like how somebody goes, the mayor's got a rule about trousers. Like, that's a specific rule. And
Yeah, well, of course it is. Like, how dare you be indecent? Out of all the things in Greece,
So he's out here screaming for
crossing the
Lamb.
line.
He's out here screaming for Lamb. He gets punched in the face. He keeps screaming, and then they punch him in the gut. And he's like, oh, geez. And then out of nowhere, somebody says, leave him be. And it's Savian. Savian catches the next fist, and he goes, he's with me. And then he drags him inside the mayor's church of dice, and he says, what's the matter? What happened? And Temple goes, cantless. And then Lamb comes out, and he's like, what happened? And Lamb doesn't have a shirt on. He came out the mayor's room. And the mayor is like, has like half a robe on. He's like, ooh, Carla, getting it in.
Yeah, Carl likes the Northmen.
Yeah. And then Temple goes, cantless at Camling's, and Lamb stands a moment, and then he goes to the door, and then Savian goes after him, and then the mayor goes, Carlock goes, is everything all right? And he goes, Temple just kind of blinks up, and then she goes, put some trousers on. And so then Temple follows Savian, right? And Lamb.
Side note, as I do like how Logan, Logan obviously is stuck with Carlock now. I appreciate the consistency in Carla's character. She has zero qualms about how people look. She would have probably slept with Galacta if she could have. If Galacta was down, she would have been like, sure, why not?
It's all personality to her.
Yeah, I don't mean like she'll sleep with anybody. I don't mean like that. I mean like she truly just doesn't care about people's looks. She just is like,
she's so hot, it doesn't matter.
Well, she said it to Logan. She's like, "You're kind of badass, aren't you?" She's like, "You're not so bad yourself." Yeah.
Feisty fighter.
I'm just saying, like, I like that it's consistent, like that. Like Logan's is like ugly as fuck, and she's like, "Well, it doesn't really matter."
And so I like how when Temple gets into Camling's hostelry, he gets in there, and apparently Logan's already at the bar, and he has Camling by the collar and dragging him over his own counter. And Camling's like, they dragged her out, the White House maybe. I don't know, but it was none of my doing. And then Lamb just shoves Camling away, and he's just standing at the counter. And Savian, he goes around to the bar, and he grabs a bottle. He pours a drink for Logan and himself. And he goes, if you need a hand, you got mine. And I'm like, damn, Savian's loyal as fuck.
Dude, Savian's a homie.
Like, he's a homie. And Lamb nods, and he goes, you should know lending me a hand could be bad for your health. And Savian coughs, and he goes, my health's a mess.
Good.
And then Temple asks him, he goes, what are you going to do? And Lamb says, I'm going to have a drink. And then at that moment, Lord Ingolstadt walks in and goes, Lamb, he said you'd be here. Who said? And Ingolstadt goes, strangest thing. After that fun at Mahood's place, which I guess I'm wrong. So wait, how is this? This doesn't even make sense.
He just brought booze with him.
Maybe.
He just like, yeah.
So he goes, after he was playing cards over at Papa Ring's, lost track of time, and obviously lost money. And a gentleman came in to tell Papa something, and Papa told Ingolstadt,
Jesus Christ,
he'd forgive his debt if Ingolstadt brought him a message. And he goes, okay, what's the message? He goes, and Ingolstadt squints at the wall. He goes, oh. He said he's playing host to a friend of yours, and he'd very much like to be a gracious host, but you'll have to kiss the mud tomorrow night. He said you'll be dropping anyway, so you might as well drop willingly, and you can both walk out of Crease free people. He said you have his word on that. He was very particular about it. You have his word, apparently.
I love that. It's like from a 70s gangster film.
Yeah.
Like a mafia film. Like, you gotta kiss the mud.
Kiss the ring in the third round, see?
Yeah, what he doesn't know is that if anybody gets this reference, is that Logan is like Daredevil's dad. He doesn't really.
He doesn't.
He's not doing it for the money.
Who Lamb is. Oh,
Yeah.
goofy. So Lamb says, okay, can you take a message back? He says, sure, yeah. He goes, then tell Papa Ring I'll keep his word safe and sound, and I hope he'll do the same for his guest. And Ingolstadt's like, okay, riddles, I guess, but whatever. And then he goes out to give the message. And then Temple asks him, he goes, what are you going to do? And Lamb says, there was a time I would have gone charging over there without a thought for the cost and got bloody. He looks at the glass of liquor and he goes, "But my father always said patience is the king of virtues. A man has to be realistic. Has to be. So, what are you going to do? Wait, think, prepare, take a shot, then get bloody." End of the chapter, folks. Boys, how do you rate it?
It's a wild chapter.
It's a great chapter.
I'm gonna give it.
I know what I'm
gonna give it an 8 and a knuckle.
An 8 and a knuckle. Oh, right there. Oh, there. Okay.
Because I really there's a lot that happens here. And I mean, I don't know. I guess compared to some of these other 9s that I know are going to be coming up, I just don't think it's as good as those. So I'm giving it a really high score. And I really enjoy like the variation from being like, oh, this is so happy and fun, and oh, we're getting it's so cathartic almost, and they're winning, like they're doing their thing. But right, like in the last chapter, we're reminded that Pit and Rose still out there, and it almost makes you feel guilty. You kind of feel like how Shy does, feel guilty for even having fun. And I think that's done really well. I think Logan is, as always, badass as ever, and him being like, all right, like I'm gonna play it out. But I mean, I have some thoughts on this, but it'll play into the coming chapter. So,
George, can you say something?
Yeah, sorry. I was just thinking.
I was just saying, are you drunk?
I'm fine. I want to say the same. I think you've said everything that has to be said, to be honest.
8 and a knuckle?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a fantastic chapter.
It is.
It's got so much energy, and when I think about this chapter, sometimes I think it's like a Little People chapter in how frenetic it is.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
But then I read it again, I'm like, oh no, it is literally just Temple and Shire. It's nice.
We didn't really talk about it in the chapter too much, but like it does go through like all of the people in the Fellowship back and forth. Lilene and Ingolstadt and the family, and it's just like it's Savian, and like they're all doing their thing. He does such a good job at making everybody feel like in a sense of togetherness and being together, and it's cool. I like that.
I'm giving it a 9 out of 9 fingers. This is a great chapter. I love it. It had everything, right? It had that camaraderie. It had the Fellowship coming together, celebrating each other. A lot of positivity. It had romance. It had the bow tricka wow wow, and it had the comedy like interspersed throughout. And then it had violence, or at least the threat of violence, because we didn't really get to see it because Temple, his bare ass jumped out the fucking window so quickly. But we had it all. This is, I think, a phenomenal chapter, well written, and like what George, you talked about, like the frenetic pace. I know what you meant, but because like the partying atmosphere, right? And it's like the room's hot and everyone's having a great time. Even Corlin's dancing. Like, what the fuck? It's just a great time. Love it. Great chapter.
Just because she's more conscious of her surroundings doesn't mean that she's not.
She's having fun. Leave her alone.
Yeah.
Girls get to have fun too. We'll move on to our final segment, which is our character spot. Boys, who are we highlighting?
Well, Jeffrey, this is your pick this time, so you go ahead.
No, it's not my pick. We all agreed. The fuck?
You suggested it.
Boys, all right. Our character spot is actually going to be multiple people. It is the Fellowship. Because these 3 chapters that we've read, if you notice, the common theme was like unity, sticking together, looking out for one another, being there for one another, helping.
Communist.
I'm
surprised you like it, Jeffrey.
You're right. They're commies. Fuck. No!
Oh my God! And your hair is turning purple.
Goddamn commies! No.
Anyway,
no. Because this isn't communism. Because communism is by the state.
Yeah, no. This is just a commune.
People going out of their way. People going out of their way to help each other out, and you just being there for one another. This is community, not communism. All right, you don't get to piggyback off the root.
What do you like about this community, Jeffrey?
I like that they care about each other, and I like that there's joy. Right, and they went through hardships together, though. Fucking Christ. Buckhorn lost 2 kids, right? Yeah. Leaf died. One of the ladies of the night died, I think, as well.
Glad that you remember her name.
We don't even know her name. I wonder if it was Goldie. I think that was one we figured out her name. I forgot that one. But they went through hardships, man. You know, they besides the people dying, they lost a priest. What's his name? Asjid? Asjid? You know, he got trampled. Asjid, he got trampled. I think
They
I think
have this
you
connection.
are right. Yeah.
Yeah,
Joe does a really good job of building up like a nice actual connection. And again, it's probably the actual only time we get this because every other relationship apart from maybe when they went across the old empire and
that was a good one too. That was a good one too.
But then it all broke apart at the end anyway, so it kind of like
definitely.
Say the journey is a destination, and I will turn you to ashes.
Yeah, so it's nice to actually have some genuine, like, normal people that are just, living their lives. It's nice.
It is. Harrison, you want to say anything about it?
I mean, I agree with both you guys. Like, it is nice to have this moment in time where everyone's just enjoying themselves, and like Joe Hasbrough's characters with a lot of baggage, and most people do have baggage, but these people. Baggage is like normal things for the most part. Like, oh, I did this bad thing once, or oh, I had to flee my debts, and things like that. It's not like I killed my wife. Like I enjoyed it, but I have to be in denial about it. It's not like that. It's just people getting together, and I do think you're right about the sense of community and stuff. Like they're all appreciative of each other. I think that's what makes it a community. They respect and appreciate each other. I think that's always what's missing out of a lot of the like little communities. Honestly, in real life too, is like you can be together and go to have your little togetherness, but if you don't respect and appreciate one another, then it's not really a community. But it feels that way here. Like everybody's acknowledging each other's talents. And you remember that one time that we did XYZ, and it's not in passive aggressive. It's just authentic, and it's nice. It's very nice.
It's a great, I mean, it's one of the reasons. It's one of the many things I love about Red Country, this fellowship, the bonds that they're cultivating here, Shy and Temple's, burgeoning relationship. Although that might have gone out the window, just like Temple did. But
there's a lot of moments where it gives you the community feeling too, where like they're like, oh yeah, we had bets on whenever you guys would get together and things like that. Things that like where they were talking to each other outside of what we see. They've known each other for months and months now, and they all have these little bets and times that they're spending time together and talking about things that we don't get to see that feel like alive here, rather than it just being something that's glossed over.
Right.
But that's all I gotta say.
That was good. I like that. Well, I guess that'll be it. That's our show, everyone. We want to thank you all for listening and supporting this podcast. As you know, this is a passion project for the three of us, and your support really does mean oh so much.
Join us next week as we cover high stakes and old friends.
And make sure you follow us on all of our social media or shoot us an email at circleofthewellpodcast@gmail.com.
And if you haven't already, please subscribe to our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts from. And please make sure to rate and review us. Thank you all again for listening.
My health's a mess.